Greetings, my friends. My name is Olivia, but you probably already knew that because you clicked on this video. I have been getting really into interior design and just sourcing cool pieces for our home over the last year or so, and I thought it would be fun to kind of do a little video series here on YouTube where I just share with you guys some of the fun tips and things that I have learned along the way, and how I like to style things, and just all the fun things that accompany interior design and home decor. So for our first little video in this series, I thought we could do how to style open shelves. Open shelves are very tricky. I am still learning, full disclosure. It's an ongoing process. There's lots of evolving to be done, but I have picked up a few tips over the last little bit, so I am excited to share them with you. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do when styling any sort of open shelves is just take everything off of it, just so you can start with a nice, clean slate. So after you've got everything cleared away, the first thing you're going to want to think about before you even put anything on is a color palette. Now, there are no official rules or rights or wrongs or do's and don'ts here, but I have found that when I stick with a color palette that has just a few key colors in it for a shelf like styling session, that it makes everything be a lot more cohesive, and it just helps with the way your eyes flow, and it looks good, nothing looks out of place. So that is the first thing, is to define a color palette. Okay, so you've got your color palette figured out. Maybe you're like me and you go with lots of neutral, earthy tones. The next thing to keep in mind as you start to place things on your shelf, or even before when you're just sourcing decor for it, is the scale of the items. So it would look a little awkward if you had a really big vase and then like a really small bud vase right next to it. So just keep that in mind when you're sourcing pieces. Try to make sure they're kind of all around the same size and scale so that nothing looks out of place. All right, so when it comes to actually putting things on your shelf, always start with your focal point, the main piece, whatever it might be. It's usually whatever you want your center point to be. So as you guys can see, I have just a few books here with a little vintage bowl on top of them, and that's kind of like the main focal point. It's kind of the first thing that your eyes are drawn to. And then from this center point, I like to build out diagonally. So I don't like to stack things right on top of each other, but rather kind of, place something a little bit here, a little over there, a little bit over there. Kind of like when you play, what's that game? Tic Tac Toe, 3 in a row. Yeah, let's go with that. The Tic Tac Toe 3 in a row method. Just kind of have your items lined out like that, and then be sure to leave some negative space in between, because the simplicity and the silence of a negative space still speaks loudly. And it's just good to have that to give your eyes a break when you are looking at each piece of decor. And it also just helps again with that flow from piece to piece. So as you're starting to group things together in your tic-tac-toe sort of method, try to group items together that just kind of flow together. So grouping items together in groups of 2s or 3s kind of helps just create a nice presence and something very pretty to look at that's not too overdone, but also isn't just like really awkward and lonesome on the shelf, because you don't want to have any lonely pieces. So for example, you could stack 2 books and then a little plant on top, or you could put a little piece of art next to a bud vase with a few sprigs of nature in them, or something of you like. You kind of get the gist. So now that I've let you guys know a few of my tips for how I like to style and arrange things on my shelf, I'm going to just share some of my favorite things in general to style a shelf with. My first and foremost tried and true is old books, or really books of any sort, vases, ceramic vessels, or just any sort of pretty ceramics in general. Unique decorative objects like a clock, a jar, or a small piece of art, plants, lamps, candles. There's a lot you can style with, and that's not even the seasonal decor. We're not even talking pumpkins and Christmas trees. Alrighty, I hope that you are feeling inspired. I hope that you are looking at your open shelves right now, just itching to take everything off and then put it all back on. Thank you so much for watching this video, the first of hopefully many in this little home decor series, and I will talk to you guys and see you again really soon. Probably, maybe, hopefully.